It's time for a year in review. What's happened, what hasn't happened, unfortunately, and where we're going for 2024. Keeping everything simple, let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Keeping Everything Simple podcast. I'm your host and fellow learner, Michael Klucas, and on this show, we boil down complex topics into simple, actionable tips. So, I started out the year with quite a few what I think you would define as hefty resolutions because I like the idea of having this stretch goal to be able to push yourself to do more than you would otherwise. But as I have learned and as I have tested, so you guys don't have to, stretch goals can't be in every category of your life. The example that I've been given for this is essentially if you were to try to build a tower, you wouldn't want to focus on just laying down a little bit of every single piece and then from there just keep building upwards without giving too much focus on one single corner, one single piece of the foundation. Because if you do, then you run the risk of your tower not being stable. You run the risk of what you were hoping to make progress on not having as much feasible and acknowledgeable progress that you would have hoped for. And that's kind of what I ended up doing. And I've been doing this for the past couple years, and I'm realizing now that's probably where a large portion of this problem is coming from. I think that's the best way I can put that. So the goals I had in physical health, mental and emotional health. Then I had it in, what is this? My relationships, my faith, and my financial, career, and personal. It's not the fact that these aren't good categories to have goals in. It's just that I had placed a lot of goals in there rather than trying to focus on one distinct kind of main goal and then work towards that one systematically. So kind of work backwards from the large end goal of where I want my life to look like at the end of that year. So we're going to go over this real quick and just see where I fell short and what I can hopefully do to improve this coming year. Starting off with the physical health goals. So I wanted to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and that was at least for 45 minutes, and to make sure I did my cool down stretches, build muscle, and get back down to my average weight of high school of 170 to 175 pounds. And then for my physical, I wanted to improve my flexibility, mobility, do my stretching 5 days a week for at least 3 minutes a day, which sounds very small, and it is. I'll explain more about that in a minute. And then to continue focus on eating whole foods and taking all my vitamins to make sure that I am having a balanced diet so my body is properly fueled for all the gym activities. Now, did not hit my weight goal. So right now, as the day I'm filming this is December 29th. I am currently at 187.9. It was just after the holidays, so I didn't obviously track any of my calories during the past couple of days. So my weight's a bit up, and that's definitely food and water weight, and that's just something that I have to remember and consider, especially as I go into 2024. But the weight goal didn't get hit. I've been doing pretty good on the gym, but there's been obviously points throughout the year where I fell off and haven't been consistent with the 3 to 4 days a week. Right now, I'm trying to make sure that I just make it simple, and I'm doing 3 to 4 or 5 days a week, but it's at minimum just doing something physically active once a day and still focusing on stretching afterwards because my knee kind of acted up today at the gym, and that's not a pleasant feeling. But in all those goals, none of them were bad. All of them were good, but I could have been more intentional about it. So that way, these goals in themselves were stretched out to make me build a habit and add something. And that worked. However, it's because I didn't give myself enough motivation behind it and enough intentional reasoning to really want to focus aside from I just want to get back down to this weight. So I have to change that in 2024, which I will discuss in the first podcast of 2024 when I go over my goals for that year. But it's safe to say that even though my physical health has improved, I've lost a lot of weight, and I've been able to keep that weight off for the most part, because I'm down from the 201 or something like that I was at the start of the year, the heaviest I've been in forever, back down to my 187, the lowest being 185. I'm getting there, and this is the lifestyle shift that needs to happen. So that's where I'm going to go with that one. Mental health is doing my daily gratitude journaling, so at least 3 things. Do a daily review while using the emotions wheel. Continue counseling at least once a month, and then do a daily mindfulness meditation and attempt to do nothingness meditations. Now, for these ones, I've actually remained pretty consistent with them, which has been actually very helpful. So the gratitude journaling has been something that I've kept up. I've enjoyed a whole lot because it has reminded me to be thankful for the things that I have in my life, and also just for being able to remain in a more positive headspace. And that's not to say that negative things don't happen and negative things don't occur, but it's just to hopefully try to get back to a baseline of contentment rather than a baseline of pessimism and angst, essentially. So that's where that one led me to, and that one worked well. I just didn't do good on the daily review. I was doing good for a couple months there, but I fell off on even just writing like a 1 to 2 sentence, maybe 3 sentence daily review of what happened, what I felt, and something noteworthy or story worthy from the day. And that's totally on me. And so I'm now thinking through how can I work that in. And thankfully, my fiance did get me a gratitude journal that distinctly has both the gratitude practices that you write down, but then also the review part baked in. And that in of itself, I think is going to be so helpful in building that habit. But ultimately, it's not about the tool, it's about the practice. And so for myself, working on just actively writing more and being more descriptive is going to be the route I go, hopefully, and that will help improve how I do this in 2024, which again, we will get to next time. Counseling, I've obviously kept that up because I feel still much more in tune with who I am emotionally, and I need to improve that still further. And so I'm going to continue to do counseling, but I've still kept it at once a month because that gives me time to really take on the work that I've done in a session and apply it to my life for a period of time, revisit it, come back, and try again. So that one's sticking around. For relationships, there was doing a version of 222, so every 2 weeks a date, every 2 months a weekend for a date, and then every 2 years a week vacation. We obviously haven't hit the 2-year point, so we've done good on the dates, and that's something that I've enjoyed a lot, but I also know that I need to pull more of my weight in doing so. And it's just more so because in trying to maintain good relationship goals, it has to be something that is planned with your partner. And that's where I think I fell short definitely for my romantic relationship in this aspect, because when I wrote these down, it wasn't written down with my now fiance. That's kind of a misstep on my end, a very big one, might I add, but that's something that for 2024 needs to be done differently, is writing that down with my partner, so that way the goal that we have set makes the most sense for both of us together. And then for my friendships and family members, it's text friends bi-weekly, call them at minimum every other month, host my family for a monthly game night, movie night. So obviously you can see from the setup behind me that I am no longer in my studio. I move home so that way I can save money for the wedding. So hosting hasn't really been on the top of my priority list, because I'm kind of doing game nights here and there whenever things pop up and whenever we all happen to be home. So that one has kind of, fallen to the wayside. But then for texting my friends, I need to still do better at that. I've been making sure to contact them and plan things with them a lot more frequently, which has helped and I think has been better, because it hasn't just been a check-in. It's been a, hey, let's plan this, let's get together, let's do something. And that I think is a much more sustainable route that I wanted to go in, and I will continue to go in. And then faith, so find and work through a weekly devotional or Bible study, continue to listen to sermons with my partner, and really just explore the question, what does my faith mean to me, and get involved with events to have more chances to talk about faith and discuss thoughts on them. So the weekly devotional has continued. It's actually turned into a daily devotional, which I've enjoyed quite a bit because it allows me to both think on it, on how I interact with my faith, as well as question it at points, but then also going to church with my fiance and her family and joining our young adults group for our church has again created more opportunities to discuss faith and religion with people that have the same questions that I would, or at points can help guide me towards understanding it more and more. So those I think I have done well at, but I haven't done enough deep dive introspection, I think, in terms of how I want to really progress in my faith as a Christian. And that's something that I will definitely be visiting more in 2024, along with that kind of uptake in how I want to do journaling and keeping myself accountable. So that's something that's going to be explored a bit later on. But I think I've been doing okay on this one. But if I was going to rate it out of like 1 out of 10, 10 being the best, I'm sitting probably around like a solid middle 5, maybe 4. Good, but not great. And then financial, so aim to save 30% of monthly income, rebuild my safety net to 6 to 9 months of expenses, and increase my overall income by 25% by the end of the year. I haven't done good enough at actually tracking this to really know if I'm doing well enough at that goal. The financials of saving, that actually has worked out pretty well. I've just been following Ramit Sethi's systemology or system and methodology here. Systemology a word? That's besides the point. I've been following that one and making sure that my savings are automatically being put aside and some savings are automatically being invested and being put towards the things that I want to focus on. So that one's actually working pretty well. The increase in my income, like I said, I haven't tracked it actually well enough to know. I just know that I set up what I wanted to have happen and I've just forgot it since. So need to get back into the swing of tracking my finances a lot more closely, especially leading up to the wedding, but also just in general because that means I'll know what's coming in and coming out because I have a lot of side projects that I'm working on that hopefully can turn into more full-time income at some point. Also a conversation for another day or a live, one or the other. I'll have to figure that part out. But yeah, so I've been doing okay on this one. So I'm thinking probably 1 out of 10 here, probably around like a 6. Again, it's been automated, so the thing that really matters for the saving is happening. The increase in income, that's something I still have to figure out. Now for my career, posting 1 video a week, 5 short form videos for 1 video a day, and then aim for 2 to 3 static pieces of content like a carousel, so 2 to 3 days a week. Obviously, my stretch goal was 10,000 subs by the end of the year, and I obviously did not hit that, so continuing. And then to do 1 speaking event a quarter on leadership, personal development, and mindfulness, and then create a bi-weekly email newsletter to document my journey. So for the YouTube videos, I've actually remained consistent on that. I have yet to miss a week, and I'm super proud of that. But then also in the inverse, for the short forms, completely fallen off that, despite that still being the biggest growth opportunity, which probably may have helped me hit that 10,000 subscriber count if I was actually consistent with that. But it hasn't been a big priority, because I want to maintain that I am putting out a consistent piece of content every single week. That's me sitting down, me getting to talk to you guys, me getting to actively describe what's going on, what I'm building towards, and why. But I think I definitely want to get into the short form piece of the content, whether that's repurposing these long form videos or it is me actively diving into more, purposeful content that is short form, because I don't want to just keep repurposing things, but I also want to make sure that the video does serve a purpose. So also the speaking events, I've been actually doing good about those, but because it's only 1 a quarter, I've been able to log which ones I've done. So the one at the start of the year being part of a mindfulness meditation retreat, helping out with that, and then one midway helping out and doing a panel event for the Episcopal Diocese of Olympia for young adults and how we can be more involved in church and how older generations can help out with that and how we can, as younger generations, guide that. And then I have a meeting today actually with one of the directors of that to make sure that we can plan out another event later on that's going to hopefully kick off the new year. So I've been doing okay with that, but I can definitely be more consistent and more proactive in reaching out to get more speaking events and speaking engagements. So I've been putting some feelers out here and there within my local area to build up to the point where I can start being a guest speaker or a keynote speaker at some local events. So that's the hope, and that's the progress I'm still working towards. So on that one, I'd still say, because I hit the YouTube long form content goal, that warrants a 4 out of 10. But then because I've fallen short of the other ones, but I've still done some speaking events, I'll bump it up to a 5. The biweekly newsletter just completely went out the window just because I haven't been good about my writing practice, and that's something that I need to fix. So 5 out of 10. And then personal goals to practice Spanish every day and make progress. Read a book a month, and it can be a fun genre as well. And then draw, paint, sing, and play music more often each month. Now, actually, the practicing Spanish every day, that's actually been going pretty well. Obviously, I've been using Duolingo, and they're not a sponsor or anything, but I have been actively using streak freezes too, which have helped because this way I can go and kind of like steal Matt Diavella's method of never try to miss 2 days or more than 2 days in a row. And so that lets me use the streak freeze to do that. So I can give myself little reprieves here or there, but I am consistently making progress and hitting the daily goal of sitting down for at least 5-10 minutes and practicing Spanish. So to the point where, hey, I can survive if needed, if I was dropped off in a Spanish speaking country, but I definitely could only survive. So gotta improve that one too. Reading a book a month, I have actually been like fast tracking my way through books, and I've enjoyed it so much because it's a lot of personal development books, but then adding in fun genres again. So I've started the Throne of Glass series for my cousin who has been very avid in trying to get us to read it and has started her own book TikTok and everything. And I'm enjoying the series quite a lot. I'm going to hopefully finish the first book in the next couple of days here, and then hopefully jump into the next 2 books, which I have on my shelf. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it behind me. They are back there, and I have the next 2 of them because I bought them on Black Friday. And I hope to have those be the first couple books I read throughout the year, if not reading a couple books at the same time. So that's been going well, but I haven't dedicated enough time towards like my artistic hobbies like drawing, painting, and singing. I don't count necessarily the worship nights that the young adults group does as like those, but they are important. But I want to get better still, or at least maintain my skill level at drawing, at playing the ukulele, at trying to sing. But overall, for personal goals in just terms of contentment and quality of life, I would rate this one like an 8 out of 10. Like, I've done pretty good on this because it has been different from the other goals because it wasn't so much a outcome based goal. It was more of a, this is the habit you want to build because you have an end goal in mind. I want to be able to speak Spanish with my family that lives in Guatemala. I want to be able to return to the avid reader that I was, and I've gotten there, but I definitely want to keep that up. So reading a book a month is at minimum the goal. And then the drawing and painting and singing, it's been stuff that I want to explore and use to express myself. And that's something that needs to continue because I've enjoyed music a whole lot. And I want to be able to be someone that can play instruments, can really get into music and get into art again. And that's just, again, quality of life pieces that are very important, especially in the coming year. So as a whole, for all the goals I've had and all the sections, I would rate it kind of I would say a 5.5 or 6 out of 10 in terms of my actual progress for the year. And obviously the personal goals being the outlier that kind of lifts up the other averages here. But it hasn't been bad. I've done things this year that I wouldn't have thought of, which is good, especially like those speaking events. But I want to really get into multi-scale planning for 2024 and see what do I want my life to look like by the end of that year and how am I going to get there using still these categories, but to have a more vivid image of what that means. Because this year I hit some of the goals, I missed other ones, and that happens. You don't want to make it so easy that you will hit every single goal, despite that being motivating, but you do want to have some level of stretching happening because when we are growing, it's uncomfortable. And for these goals, I wasn't, I think, growing in a way that felt meaningful, that felt ultimately like it was going to push my life in the right direction, in the right direction I wanted to go. So that's kind of where my year in review ends. I have done okay. I haven't done great. And I want to do better in 2024. And I hope that you guys will come along for that journey too. Because as candid as I can be here, there is a whole lot that I want to do and a whole lot I have to consider within the next 5 years here, and not just in the 1 year timeline. Because we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5 years. So I'm going to reevaluate, going to come back hopefully stronger than ever. But I hope you all will stick around for it, and we can continue to keep everything simple and grow together. So leave your resolutions in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Tell me what ones you hit this year, and then what ones you hope to improve for next year. The next episode is going to be diving into my goals and resolutions for 2024 and what that is going to mean for this channel, what that's going to mean for this podcast, and what that's going to mean for me and my quality of life, obviously, because I'll be going into a very different chapter in 2024. But with that, keeping everything simple, have an amazing day, you amazing people. I will see you in the next episode, but make sure you go out there and do great things.